Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of On the Line, Other Line Canada. Maybe that's twice this month I've gotten it wrong. Maybe it's time to change names. Lloyd, good evening. How are you? Hey, Babs, Barb, Brian. Well, happy Pizza Week, International Pizza Day. Guess what I had? Not pizza today. So for any of you celebrating International Pizza Day, well, I guess it's a day of reckoning. I don't know what your favorite is, but the big thing this evening in my house is, do we put pineapple on it? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Well, we've got an exciting co-host this week. For any of you that don't know who Christopher James is, you're certainly going to learn a little bit about who he is. And he's got some phenomenal stuff to talk about this evening. Some great topics for any of you that didn't check out our 5 questions that we did last night with Christopher. It was pretty cool, and we did a dry run for what we're going to do for the show this evening, and I think you guys will really enjoy what Christopher's bringing to the table. So without too much delay, we're going to add him, Mr. Christopher James.
What's going on, everybody? Todd, thanks for having me again, man. I appreciate it.
You bet, man. Welcome to the show, and happy International Pizza Day.
And to answer your question, pineapple does belong on pizza, and I'll fight anybody that says otherwise.
Yes. Okay. Well, that could be a whole nother competition. And speaking of competition, you're no stranger to competition. We've got someone joining us towards the end of the show, Mr. Adam Turnbull. I shouldn't call him Mr., but I'll give him a bit of credit. And what Adam doesn't know is we got a little contest coming down the pipe for him as well. But let's focus on him later. Christopher, again, welcome to the show. Awesome to have you on here.
It's good to be here.
I mean, I don't know what to say about you. You got a little bit of everything in the works.
You're not the only one that doesn't know what to say about me, man. So it's all good, buddy.
Speechless is where I'll leave it. How's that sound?
Hey, that's better than what I've been called some days. So it's all good.
You've been called many things, but many not repeatable.
Exactly. Not on this show, at least.
Makes total sense. And you know what's funny? I just said makes total sense. Apparently, they're starting a drinking game. I watched the last show back. I said make total sense like 8 times.
Well, that makes total sense that you're going to be doing a drinking game on this one, I guess.
I've already said it 3 times today, and we're only 3 minutes in. So let's hope this doesn't become a national sensation.
Well, salute, man.
I will not say that again. Well, Christopher, we always like to ask people when they come on the show to start it off. You're huge into the outdoors. You're huge into fishing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of your broadcasts on Be a Lion Outdoors. Where did it all begin for you?
So it goes way past me. So I actually come from the McKinnon bloodline. So McKinnon Flats and Lachlan McKinnon is actually my great-great-grandfather. So that flat of land is actually the original homestead. So I spent a lot of time down at McKinnon Flats fishing the bow with my dad and my uncle and just kind of grew up in that lineage of homesteading, self-reliance, and going out and fishing and hunting and everything. And then as I got a little bit older and kind of understood the importance that the outdoors had played to my family, we started going out to CB Dam and started throwing a lot of fish out there with my dad. And it just kind of built into this passion of mine that I've been very, very fortunate to have been able to share and continue to bring it out into the world. But it has been something that has just been integrated into who I am. I mean, it's tattooed on me and everything. So it's something that I'm kind of proud to carry that McKinnon torch for.
Yeah, actually, that's amazing. And I did know that. There's someone on here, actually quite a few people are probably quite familiar with McKinnon Flats.
Yeah.
I see Mike Robertson on here. I mean, he's no stranger for sure. But
Mike's a stud out there.
Anyone that fishes the bow knows that McKinnon Flats has a lot of history, which is just phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And I think you Alberta boys are a little bit rare too, aren't you? Isn't there something to that?
Born and bred Alberta boys. Yeah, I mean, we're not too concentrated, we could say, anymore. There's a lot of you guys from BC that come out here, a lot of Saskatchewans, a lot of East Coasters. There's not a lot of us tried and true Alberta kids that are out here. So, I mean, even my mom, she's not originally from Calgary, but on the dad's side, all the way up to Lachlan and Sarah. We're here, and I'm very, very fortunate that we've been able to make such a big mark in Alberta. I mean, the XL beef brand, XL is my family's brand. So we helped start the XL beef and everything. We sold it way before I came along the picture. So to be not only an Alberta boy, but to also have that history throughout Alberta, it's something that I'm very, very proud of.
Which leaves me in limbo because you say UBC boys. Well, I mean, I've been gone for so long. I guess that kind of puts me in between.
That's why I put you in the spot, bud.
No pressure.
No, none.
It's okay. I don't mind being in between.
That's okay. You've been
fine.
in between things your whole life, Todd. So.
It's true. It's true, man. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization, Be a Lion Outdoors? What is it all about?
Yeah, so Be a Lion Outdoors actually started in 2017 as CJ's Angling Adventures. And what it kind of focused on was writing blogs and sharing fishing tips to a very, very small group of individuals that were really interested. So it was like mom, my wife. There's very, very few people that were actually bought into it. So toward the beginning of 2018 into 2019, I thought I could offer so much more than just the fishing tips. So I wanted to kind of bring in Be a Lion Outdoors. So I shut down Angling Adventures, rebranded as Be a Lion Outdoors, and rebranded the blog to share a lot more stuff when it comes to the outdoors, not just fishing, but hiking tips, forest fitness tips. So how to be actually healthy for the outdoors, some survival tips, hunting tips, and just general outdoors skill sets, and trying to expand it to a wider audience. And that was ultimately the goal. And doing that has been successful. So in 2019, I was published in the UK. I was published all throughout the States, all throughout Canada. I interviewed on 4 premier podcasts, co-hosted other shows when it comes to the outdoors and stuff. And I've had an opportunity to really share that and expand that reach into something that we'll talk a little bit more about a little bit later on. But I chose Be a Lion Outdoors because a lion is just that symbol of power. All right. You look at it and it's strength and it's pride, and you're doing everything that you can to defend what's yours, but also you're not out there just smacking people around. So I wanted everybody to take Be a Lion Outdoors and apply it to not just the outdoors, but to carry that lion mentality in their daily life. And that was kind of the goal of it. And I mean, I've been able to help sponsor lions in South Africa through sales of my gear. I've been able to, reach a lot of masses, which I'm very, very proud of, and get people excited about the outdoors. That's my story, man. I want people excited about the outdoors again, and put down the Xbox and pick up a tackle box.
Yep. Yeah, I can definitely get on board with that whole passion and drive. And I love the whole, the symbolism of a lion, which is very, very cool.
Absolutely.
It's almost like maybe you've presented that in all these podcasts before. You're like rehearsed.
I've been asked a few times about it. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it's not CJ Outdoors or, anything along those lines. It's something that's very original. So I get asked that quite a bit.
Absolutely. Hey, Greg Rice, Mike Robertson on here. Mike is just wondering where he can get more info about your page. Are you just on Facebook, or where's the best place to find Be a Lion Outdoors?
So I have a Facebook page. It is Be a Lion Outdoors. I am also on Instagram at Be a Lion Outdoors. And then I also have the blog, which is bealionoutdoors.wordpress.com.
That's awesome.
And I'll jump in on this afterwards, and I'll comment with all the links, because I'm sure we're only 10 minutes in and we got 50 to go. So I'll put all those comments in after we finish this broadcast.
That would be great. And I know I've shared your page on Facebook, but maybe we'll get a little link up for everybody else.
Yeah, and I'll share the other page as well that we'll discuss too.
Yeah, that would be great. We got lots of people checking in this evening. Hi, Lloyd. Kit's agreeing. Pineapple on pizza. So I think we're starting a movement here. Mike Robertson. Mike, good to see you. Well, visually talk to you. Not even visually. Yeah. Through word. Hi, Dana. Hello from Wainwright. She's saying,
Hi, Dana.
Greg Rice, we're going to talk about you a little bit later. We'll act like you're not even here. Mitch, we'll see you this weekend. Rob, no worries, Mike. We'll get that info posted up there for you a little bit later in the show. Well, we're going to talk about bodies of water.
Sure.
And being a local boy, I know you got a couple of them, but do you have one in particular you enjoy fishing?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the fish tanks at Petland in Sunridge. I always seem to slay out there. Many different species, and it's one of those spots that I don't really share with a lot of people, right? I mean, you can get everything from angelfish to guppies. It's a beautiful, beautiful time out there. They get pretty angry at you though when you start cracking beers.
There's something about multi-species angling in Alberta that most people aren't even aware of. I mean, I typically go to Pisces myself.
Another great one. I mean, they got a lot of real good quality fish and some good size ones in there too. But for me, I just like something about the neon tetras that a lot of people didn't know we had in Alberta.
Yeah, I'm a cichlid guy myself. So
beautiful fish.
There's something about being able to go fishing where the bait is there as well. It's basically the equivalent to a local stock pond, right? So,
and that's just it, right? I mean, a lot of people really negate that ability to go in there where it's nice and warm. All right, you're not giving up too much spot. There's nets available right there. I mean, it's pretty beautiful out there. The derbies suck, but I mean, it's pretty good out there.
I hear competition's fierce. I mean, I always find that when the bite's slow, there's always rabbits and hamsters to hang out with. That's why I like Pisces. There's spider monkeys and stuff.
Oh, which is totally cool. Totally. So, and they have that little drink bar out there too. You can go get yourself a drink and some snacks at Pisces too.
That's true. But one thing that puzzles me about these places to fish, though, is I always notice they have little snack bars and ice cream things.
Yeah.
Is it me or is it really weird to want to grab an ice cream cone at a pet store?
I've tried it, but man, do those flavors suck. I mean, I've had like some weird tuna ones and like weird flavors, but yeah, I don't recommend going out and doing that for sure.
Yeah, bloodworm shooters aren't really my thing. So
no, not anymore. Not since '99. That's for sure.
I will actually be interested to see how many people get kicked out of their local pet store after this episode.
I don't recommend that. But no, for real, my favorite species or body of water, I'm a big Rolling Hill Reservoir guy and Crawling Valley. I mean, those two, they're close to Calgary. It's a nice day trip. And usually do quite well on both those reservoirs.
Those are really popular spots. And I don't know if you follow Jason Huntley at all. The Huntley Experience, we're going to have him on, I believe, in March. Right. But he actually does YouTube videos and updates on his experience with some of these bodies of water. And I believe Rolling Hills and Crawling Valley are one of them as well. So
yeah, they are. A lot of the times they're populated for sure. But that's kind of any body of water once you get out there. I mean, even McKinnon Flats, that's packed. Gull's packed, but I seem to do pretty good on those two. Yeah, I seem to do pretty good out there at rolling and crawling.
Mm-hmm. So if you're targeting those, I'm going to guess what your favorite species is, but you can tell everyone yourself.
I'm a big fan of walleye, sauger, and pike. I love fishing the predators. Don't get me wrong, a good trout bite is always good too, and I'm not one to turn that down, but just something about when a pike smacks your line and you're not too sure, and that slow drag, and all of a sudden it starts jumping out of the water, or just those pikes hammering your pickerel rigs. They're tough to beat, man. I love those fights.
It's funny. You said something that is actually like a national debate that I don't typically get involved in. Do you know what the word was?
Oh, I'm pretty sure that there's been a few with pickerel.
You read my mind. It must be the twinning of the hats.
It's the hat, I'm thinking, for sure. Yeah,
it's the hat. Yeah, Zach Davis is just saying that Newell is his favorite. And actually, it's funny. I think Crawling Valley probably doesn't get the acknowledgement it deserves on some levels because Newell is just that extra half an hour, right? So
yeah, and I mean, Rolling Hills is right beside Newell, pretty much. So yeah, it's just one of those things that it doesn't really get a lot of that respect that I really find out there. And there's a lot of real good fish out there, both ice and open water at Crawling Valley. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you. Mitch is just asking what size of rod you use. It says Portland, but I know he means Petland. What size of rod are you using at Petland nowadays?
I use an ice rig for sure. I mean, I usually go about a 3-footer. You can't really get a good cast in at Petland. Pisces a little bit more. It's more of an open room. But I find Petland is pretty congested up against the birds. So I try and keep it nice and short.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I typically use my jaw jacker at home for my axolotls when I'm feeding them.
Yeah.
So,
or I'll hand bomb it, right? I mean, I'll just go out there with just a spool and just dop it in there, and you're good to go.
just hand line, man, like
Yeah.
you're jigging for cod. Yeah,
You got
why
it.
not?
You
Right?
got it. Catfish them, right? Just hand them in.
I notice on here too, Kit saying that I'm not in my garage. No, I gave up on the garage routine about 2 weeks ago. And man, am I happy. It's what, like minus 30 out right now. So
Yeah, we're about 2 degrees away from screw it. I'm thinking very, very soon. So.
it's pretty questionable. Dana, we see your question here. I'm going to leave that when we bring in Adam towards the end of the show so we can have a little bit of a group conversation because I love that. Adam probably doesn't see it. I know he's sitting there admiring the site right now, but Dana's asking thoughts on slip bobbering. So I think maybe we'll touch base on that in the show here.
That is a good one. Yep.
You want to talk about something that I thought was it was awesome. Everyone's got their little tackle experience, but you want to talk about primitive tackle.
Yeah.
And
so there's it's something we'll talk about a little bit later for sure, but I am what is considered a primitive wilderness and survival expert. And in saying that, while yes, I do have all the modern equipment behind me, bang sticks, bows, all my rods, tackle, everything back there, I also work throughout the tackle and primitive sort of skills too. So that could be everything. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit more later, but something as simple as a little bit of wood. I don't know where the hell my camera is. So a little bit of wood here and making a gorge hook. So that is what this is called, would be a gorge hook through just some spikes on the side. It'll swim vertical in the water column, but a fish will bite it and start pulling, and that'll actually pull. I keep screwing this up, and that'll pull that sideways in the fish mouth, and you'll be able to pull that straight out. So we're going to talk a little bit more about different skills that you guys could do. There is no catch and release on a gorge hook, so I will say that off the bat, but we're going to talk about like some fish weir experiences, some gigs, some hand lining, and different ways that you can actually spruce up your gear if you don't have the ability to do it. So that is something that we'll talk about a little bit later for sure. But if you guys have any questions when it comes to primitive tackle, primitive survival, or any skills along those lines, let me know. And Todd, I know you can see the questions there, and I'll do my best to answer as many as I can.
Yeah, Mitchell's just asking if you've bow fished.
I've not here, but Petland, I just smoke them out there. No, I have not had a chance to go down there. I had an opportunity to go down to Florida about 2 years ago and actually bow fish down there. But it was for bow fishing gators. So is kind of what we were looking at doing, but didn't have the opportunity to head down there and get that done. So, but no, I have not bow fished.
I have a tendency in winter months, because work's a bit slower, to spend usually once or twice a week. I'll tour through some of the local fishing stores, and I actually found a bow fishing kit in Cabela's in clearance. It was everything I could do to talk myself out of not buying that, because I'm like, I would probably never use it, but it looks cool.
Totally. And I mean, like one of my bows, as an example, this takedown recurve, I have the ability to attach a reel on the front. I just haven't gone about doing it yet because, I don't know, just something about cracking on a whitefish or a grayling with an arrow. Yeah, might be a little bit outside my wheelhouse for sure. I'm pretty good with the bow, but to smoke those little suckers, I think it might be a little bit tough.
Well, I'll tell you what, until I can catch one on an actual fishing rod and line, lately, I'm probably going to leave that alone. So if anyone's looking to expand, Cabela's in the Northeast, man, in the clearance section, if it's still there, better get on it. Mitchell's just saying, yeah, he's ready to set up on his recurve. Maybe that would be a good episode for you guys to check out.
Could be.
Yep, that would be awesome. What else do we have on here?
But I mean, all three of my bows, actually, I have the ability. So even one of my compounds, I can set it up with as well. And I might do it actually with this one. It's a little bit older of a compound. But yeah, it's something that I'd be interested in trying for sure.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it on Meat Eater, and I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know. That's going to take some talent, seeing how he has to try to dial him in like that.
Oh, totally.
But
And I would have loved to have gone down and smoked like bowfish the gator down in Florida. I think that would have just been fantastic. But maybe next year.
I feel like you would have been in for a bit of a ride there. Maybe would have you?
Yeah, I'm thinking I probably would have gotten taken out pretty quick on that one. But a buddy of ours actually, they run tours out there, so they'll bowfish quite a few drums. They'll go out there and bowfish, but gator is kind of their primary that they go to. So he's pretty experienced on that.
Tastes like chicken. Did you know that?
It does, yeah. I've had gator. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like chicken, just rubbery.
yeah. I've had gator jerky. I've had gator tail. Yeah, it is pretty. The jerky obviously was tough, but not a lot of fat on those things.
As they say, you need to do what you need to do to survive, which
Yes,
ties
sir.
into the next topic, right?
You got it.
Naked and Afraid.
Yeah,
You were on it.
I was. I was the first Canadian male on Naked and Afraid, and I was actually recruited to go on it, and through BLI and Outdoors actually. So that was one of the things that we were discussing earlier. I was contacted through Instagram, and it was very, very quick. I was contacted beginning of November 2018, was told that I'd be moving through the next stage. January 2019, I was in LA for finals, and I was flying out April 2019 to film the episode. So it was a very, very quick turnaround for me. But yes, I was the first Canadian male on Naked and Afraid.
And there's a petition for you to try to get back on the show.
There is.
Where can we go to check that out? Maybe everyone wants to try to fight to get the Canadian boy back on Naked and Afraid.
I appreciate that. So I was very, very fortunate and very, very humbled that after my episode aired, that somebody actually created a petition for me and has been soliciting signatures, as well as there's a Facebook group called the Christopher James Campaign. Again, it was created by fans of not only myself, but the show. And it is an area where this might even be streaming in right now. So if you guys are here from the campaign, hello. And yeah, so I've been very, very fortunate to have had great fans create this petition. And as of right now, we're sitting at about 222 signatures on this petition from all around the world. So there's been signatures from the Philippines, from South Africa, Brazil. There's been quite a few all through the States. So if you guys are interested, it is a pretty long, drawn out petition, like link. It's, I don't know it off the top of my head, but head over to the Christopher James Campaign, and it is actually pinned to the top of that page. You can go in there and take care of that. There's also links where you guys could write Discovery, and you guys could actually write them, let them know that you want to see me back on it too, and represent Canada.
That's very cool. And Scott is actually asking, were you afraid? I mean, obviously no one's ever going to admit they were afraid, but was there a moment in the show where you're like, oh man, I'm in trouble here?
There was a few. So I was dumped in the middle of the Sonoran Desert, northern Mexico, during a heat wave, and it was hot. So I ended up getting a heat blister on my foot, which ended up getting the blister tore off. Got a thorn in it. Was diagnosed with myosarcoma in it. But night one, I was in the middle of a windstorm, which whipped up very, very quickly and unexpectedly. Night two, we were getting stopped by coyotes. So I had coyotes that were right outside of my shelter. And for the duration that I was there, I had a pack of coyotes that were after me. But there was, I believe, 21 different types of scorpion that were out there, 9 different types of rattlesnake. There was the Gila monster, which is the only toxic lizard in North America. So I had to contend with that. There's the tarantula hawks, which is actually a wasp that paralyzes and tranquilizes tarantulas and eats them alive. And it is like rank 3, I believe, 2 or 3 on the pain index when it comes to bite pain. So I had to come across those all the time. One of the nights I ended up getting a bloody nose and almost passing out. So yeah, there was quite a bit of times out there that I'm like, this ain't Canada no more, Toto.
Yeah, it's not all for show, right? And
No.
Scott was asking if he made it the full time. Well, no, Scott, he didn't.
You're
You
gonna
can
have to watch
check
the
it
show. So I
He-
was actually pulled due to the myostoma. I was not able to walk on my foot anymore, and there was cougars that were starting to get very, very close to the shelter. So I was actually pulled for my safety, which is why there is that discussion about getting me back out there because I mean my partner broke her ankle in 2 spots day 3. So
Oh.
it was one of those episodes that both of us got whooped up on, and I'd love to get back out there and do it again and kind of show that we can do it up here. It's not just snow and dogs. I mean, we got it figured out here.
Yeah, we don't just live in igloos as many would think.
No. Although I have done a video about a Quincy, which is a makeshift igloo, so I have done that. If you guys want to check it out.
Well, I think everyone here that wants to see you maybe give it another try should go over and check out your petition, and we'll make sure we share it on our Facebook feed after the show. If anyone is interested in getting that promoted out there, I mean, who knows? Maybe 2022 would be your return.
They're actually casting right now, so I could even get a phone call tonight to fly out tonight and go out. When I got back from Mexico, I got a phone call to go into into South Africa, into lion territory. But I wasn't medically cleared for that. So I could get a phone call anytime. I am still contracted. So
Unfortunately, not something I'd be interested in if they were to reach out to me.
Oh, come on. You can get out there. And
No, you lost me at Heat Wave.
yeah, it was tough, man. And everything out there had a thorn or a thistle or something. So, I mean, we were still pulling thorns out of me up 6 weeks after I got back. I had no fat on this elbow, no nothing. It was worn right out. So it whooped up on this boy. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it doesn't take long. I would have to assume there's a lot of mental aspects to it as well. I mean, I would not fare very well. I'm going to be the first one to admit that. So everyone, let's get out there and let's get Christopher back on the show. I think that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was tough, man. Like I had brought 100 feet of paracord. My partner brought a knife, and that was all we had.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, Scott, just give you an open invite to come to BC and film Naked and Afraid with him.
I'm
not sure the details on that, but maybe you and Scott Stewart can kind of connect.
Sure, absolutely. He could send me a message anytime he wants.
Who knows? Maybe you guys will have like a Western Canadian version of Naked and Afraid.
You never know. We can go out there during a salmon run, walking through the Campbell or something.
Hey, why not? Right?
Fraser's pretty good.
I see Adam smiling. Adam would probably be. You know what? Let's just bring him in because I can tell by the grin on this kid's face. He might be on board with like a Naked and Afraid.
That's where the horseshoe comes from. It's a smile.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, I know you haven't been on the show before, and not many people know who you are, but I'm not sure what made you smile more, the naked or the afraid part. What's your thought on that there?
Naked.
Attaboy.
Well,
just gotta go in, right?
I just usually call it a regular Thursday for me. I actually asked Todd prior to coming in if I had to wear a shirt.
Well, I sleep naked. Like, what's the difference?
Exactly.
Lights are on, clothes are on. That's my rule in this house. Let me tell you right now. Adam knows we've been on a road trip, man. This not happening. Not even in the dark. I don't trust you. You're out gigging frogs for catfish at 4 a.m, man. These clothes are staying on. I'm buckled.
But the mosquitoes the way they were, I'm glad we had clothes that night.
Actually, let's talk about tips. Christopher, you have any mosquito tips? We're going back to Winnipeg in Manitoba in May. Maybe you got some tips on how to keep those skeeters away from us.
Smoke is a very, very good way to go about it. So make sure that if you guys are going to do a fire, smoke them out. And that goes for really any insects. You could smoke them. Mud, right? So bathe yourself in a little bit of mud. Charcoal works quite well. And if you guys come across a termite mound, termites, if you guys find them, crush them up really, really well and then rub it on your skin. And it will actually keep mosquitoes away.
Well, I'm actually really, really annoyed because Adam had me convinced it was horse poop and hugs. So
No, it's actually mule turds and deep.
That's where we went wrong.
That's where it was. I understand it. The mule and the donkey is very, very similar. But
Yeah, well, it'd explain why we're getting weird looks at midnight looking for a horse.
yeah.
Well, Adam, thanks for joining us this week. We brought you back because, well, I mean, a lot of people were kind of talking the buzz, and I know how you are with primitive stuff. Plus, poor Mitch is going to be stuck with me this week. We're going to be doing a special broadcast. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show. But, you know, we're going to be talking about these primitive tactics, and Christopher brought some pretty cool stuff. But one of the ones I wanted to go back to here is Dana was just asking about experience on catching pike and walleye with slip bobbers, both open water and ice. Do you guys have any experience with that at all?
Slip bobbers, like, I'll run like a split shot, run your slip bobber to whatever depth, right? And then just run a split shot and like a circle hook or split shot in a small tungsten or something like that. I've done that lots.
Yep.
And then, I mean, like for walleye, not so much. I do it more for like goldeye and different kinds of trout and stuff like that. Obviously, fly fishing, you're basically running a slip bobber when you're nymphing. So, yeah, I do it quite a bit. Not so much for walleye and pike, but you could run big baits for walleye and pike as long as your bobber is big enough, right?
Yeah,
I'm
I
with
actually
Adam on that one too. Like, I don't do it too often for pike or walleye, but if I'm going after like moon eye or eye or something like that, like if I'm up in the Red Deer River, I'll run a slip bobber for sure.
Absolutely.
There is a system I've used actually for walleye. I don't have it with me. It's out in the garage, but it's got a slide weight in it. It's like a slip bobber. So when we're fishing those deep waters at the canal and stuff, if the bite is really light, you can actually use it to identify if you are getting a bite of some kind. I found it works really well, but my experience, not so much in the heavy flowing waters. You know, I know that the slip bobber technique is popular for a lot of tournament guys. And Dana, actually, I know someone that's a big fan of that system. And when he comes on in the coming months, Mr. Trevor Davies, we're talking about some tournament stuff.
Well, Todd. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
We were slip bobber in those catfish in the Souris in Winnipeg or in Manitoba.
We were actually.
Yeah. Remember, that was super key to that.
Yeah, I remember you weren't catching anything, and I was catching them all. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was for sure.
Yeah, I remember they almost pulled you into the water. You had to run down the dock.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That's footage we'll talk about later. Well, Christopher, why don't you show us some of these primitive things you brought us? Because I know Adam's interested.
So we've kind of discussed earlier just the basic gorge hook, which I'll bring up here yet again. But there is some ways that you guys could actually beautify these gorge hooks if you don't have the ability, or you're on the ice and you don't have any baits or any berries or foliage or any lures really that you guys could use. That isn't exactly too pretty when you're looking at it from a water column standpoint. You can't really see too much. However, you could get a thing called paracord. Now, this is 550 paracord. There's 7 strands of nylon inside of it, as well as a nylon sheath that comes out. But it's called 550 because it could actually hold 550 pounds when it's all said and done, all encapsulated. But you could actually take your gorge hook and create little fly-like materials just using it with your paracord. And I'm going to show you 2 different types here as well. With a smaller paracord, so if you're going after something like your goldeye, smaller trout, more accessible fish in a primitive survival sort of situation, you're able to kind of create this little red streamer here that's going to create those same vibrations and those same movements in the water column just by fusing a little bit of paracord to that exact same hook. Same deal with this one. It's a bit bigger of a gorge hook, so it's this big. Here, I'm all backwards when I'm dealing with this camera. A little bit bigger here, and all you do is just splice your paracord in half and fuse it all around. And I just use the inner line for it, but you guys could use even just braided line, fluoro, mono, whatever you guys have. You guys could attach it to. But paracord, all my outdoor boots, they're tied with paracord. So I will always have that cordage with me as well. But another option you guys could do if you have a smaller tackle box and you're still using your paracord is you could actually do the same thing, but with actual regular hooks. So I have just a larger hook here that I actually melted a little bit of black, fused that red in behind, and fluffed up the rear on a larger hook, melted it all together, and then that'll kind of create almost like a nymph or a worm pattern when you're actually looking at it in the water. Or you could go with something more like a fly by keeping the inner strands in, and it'll create the same sort of plan when you're dealing with your modern hooks. And what we're going to do actually is I'm going to show you guys how to actually make one of these, because it is super easy if you just have tackle but don't have any baits. And it does work for treble hooks as well. Just a little bit more fancy way to beautify sort of your hooks, so it's not just a basic line that you're throwing in the water if you don't have any access to just regular foliage or anything that you could use as a bait. And there's a few different ways that you guys can rig those up. Obviously, you could hand line them. You guys are able to set up just traps. You guys could set up a lot of different things, fishing weirs. But one of the ways that I definitely do, especially in a survival situation, you want to try and conserve as much energy as you can. So there is the spring snare, which a lot of people use when it comes to trapping rabbits, trapping squirrels, small game trapping. And you're just hooking up a noose attached to a spring or a twig that's bent over, attached to an L7 trigger. Now, an L7 is just that. So the top part looks like an L, and then the part that buries in is a 7. And they fuse in with one another. But you could use that exact same mechanism when it comes to fishing. So all you got to do is bring that spring down, hook your L7, tie it all together. But instead of tying essentially a snare, you run your line out into the water. And once the line runs into the water, it is now an active, passive trap. So when a fish actually bites that, it's going to disengage that trigger, or the L7 is going to pull, and that spring is going to whip back up, and it's actually going to pull that fish directly out of the water for you. So you don't actually have to sit there and constantly throw in. You guys could go out there, collect more firewood, and then it'll pull it right out for you. You don't have to worry about it. And it's very, very quick to set up.
Mitchell's just asking if you like that better than a deadfall trap.
Depends really what I'm looking at and what the ground conditions are. If I find that there's a lot of rabbit activity, I'll go more with a spring snare, or I'll go with an Apache snap trap. It's kind of a few things that I'll look at. Squirrels, I'll usually do a squirrel pattern, which is just a bunch of nooses tied around essentially a tree branch. There's the Ojibwa bird trap, which I'll use for smaller game as well. There's actually the bird cage that I'll look at. And then, the figure 4 deadfall. It's a very, very good trap when I'm looking at things like rodents or like gophers or something along those lines. I'll go with that, but I'll go spring snare for medium sort of type game.
A lot of stuff to learn.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look those up.
Absolutely.
Actually, for me, the wheels are turning, because I'm thinking that there's probably been a few scenarios where I could have used those to, get out of my, as we don't like to say, hangry episodes.
Yeah.
What should I use to trap Todd when he's grumpy?
Big Macs I find work out well. And darts. I find darts. And darts is a real good bait for Todd. So I find go with like a figure 4 deadfall on that one. Just put a lit dart at the end of it, and you'll snag a Todd 100% of the time.
It's actually very true. I mean, there's something about a good dart that a guy just can't get around.
There you go, man.
And I think I heard Big Mac in there.
Yep. That's what I'm saying, right? A Big Mac or a Whopper and a lit Pall Mall, and you're good to go, man.
Just ask Marcy. Anything sweet.
Sweet, yeah. So Marcy and a dart.
Marcy and a dart. Yeah,
actually,
I would definitely go for that. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Marcy's on here. I better take it back. Marcy and Darren are talking.
So while we have a little bit of time, I want to show you guys real quick how to actually fuse the paracord to an actual regular hook. So I'm going to use an Aberdeen hook just because it does have that longer shank on it. But that's kind of what we're going to sort of look at today. So very, very simple. Let me just grab this hook without impaling myself. So it is very easy to do. All you guys do need, and I know that Todd has this all the time, you're going to need a lighter. You guys are going to need a blade.
Never leave home without it.
And you guys are going to need just a little bit of that paracord. So this is paracord that I've already pulled the inner lining out of. The first thing that I do is I take the eye of the hook and I will run it into it to kind of gauge that size. So I'll run it all the way up to the eye and I will identify where that eye is, pinch that off, step on the hook, which is always good. Then I'm going to take my blade, cut that strip off of it. So it's quite simple. Just that little strip. Take your hook, run the hook back through it. So the eye is now facing out. And I don't know how clean you guys can see, but so the eye is out. Now, because paracord is all nylon, it melts. And when it melts, it actually fuses very, very strong. You could fuse all this together. So take the one end with the eye, take your lighter, and just set it up and melt it in. Cinch it up and then pinch it all in together, keeping the eye still visible. I'll get this camera location by the end of it for sure. So just
It's always reverse.
Always reverse. So now that is actually sealed and cinched in there, and it's not going anywhere with the eye still visible. You still have the actual hook itself, and then it's just fluffing out that back end.
Yeah, basically you're just making a salmon worm, so that's gonna catch trout like nonstop. So
you got it. And there's
anything that eats a bloodworm.
Yep.
Right.
And
so
you
that's
can go
awesome.
with a bunch of different patterns as well. So you can go with a blue paracord, a white paracord. You guys
right, wire worms for whitefish, like
bingo. Right. So
super
very,
easy
very
pattern.
easy. Right. Very, very easy, and it'll still create that flow and that vibration in the water. And that took me all of 30 seconds to throw that all together. So quite simple little hacks like that.
So I'm going to just throw all my stuff out and start paracord fishing.
You got it, man. It might actually help you on the ice this year.
Well, with the way that this guy's doing, I'm not sure he's even fishing. I think he's just going out there staring at Marcy while she fishes, and that's about it.
At least he's made it out. I haven't gone out yet this year for the ice. So
for any of you that know me well enough that I have these real nasty skunk streaks.
Spells.
Yes, bear's paw spells, which is actually where Christopher and I met.
Yeah.
And he tried fighting me when I asked him for fishing tips. But anyways, that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, for some reason, when you were running at me without your pants on, telling me to come at me, bro, it was weird, man. We had to back off for a second.
I'm all about commitment. I was half naked and you were full afraid. So
exactly. We just went right full hog on that one for sure, buddy.
What happens at bear's paw? That's all I can say. Many of us have been there. What I was going to say was I have this tendency for long cold streaks. With that being said, this weekend is the Cold Lake Derby. Adam, I'm leaving Thursday.
It's a good weekend for you to break that.
No
like
pressure.
I'm going to fish with a guy who's skunking like crazy.
Lee, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I'm going with Lee Marchand. It should be good. We'll see Sebastian up there. I'm sure we'll see lots of other people. If you guys are up there, shoot me a message. Dan Hunter, I know lots of people that are going up. Shoot me a message. We'll try to meet up. Mitchell's actually got some pretty good questions on here. He's just a wealth of knowledge. The one that I saw that I really liked was, Mitch, not to avoid all of them here, your favorite way to start a bushcraft fire without a non-natural fire starter.
So there's a couple different ways that I really like to look at. So a charcoal roll is a very, very good way that I find work out quite well. Just using just some old charcoal and some cotton and a little bit of pressure, you're able to actually get an ember going through a charcoal roll. But it also kind of depends on your environment. I mean, obviously you have your bow drill and your hand drill, but then you also have things like a fire saw. and a fire plow, which if I'm in a jungle type situation with a bamboo or another hollow wood, I will default to that before I'll go to a bow drill or a hand drill even, just based on just the environment that I have there with me. And then obviously you have magnifying glasses that you guys can kind of look at, flint and steel, char cloth, chert. So there's a lot of different ways that I definitely enjoy and that that I've used, not always successfully. But for me, I find it doesn't matter what condition or environment I am in. The fire roll works out very well. But I've also started a fire with a battery and steel wool. I've done it with a battery and a gum wrapper. So, I mean, it really all depends on what non-conventional fire starter means to each individual person.
And I know you actually have some pretty awesome stuff about that. We talked about it briefly last night, but remind me where I could find it, because the one I really enjoyed was where you built the fire in the ground.
Yeah, so the Dakota Fire Pit was a very good one that Todd and I have talked about at length now for a couple of years. The Dakota Fire Pit is a smokeless fire pit that actually feeds oxygen very well. I don't really recommend it when it comes to a heating source, just because it is an in-ground fire. However, it is a very smokeless fire, so it does help you if you're trying to avoid detection, as well as it heats up very, very warm. So it's very similar to a hobo stove, however you're using the ground. But Todd, like we said, I've also started a fire with a guitar pick. So, I mean, really it comes down to what you have available and making the best of any situation.
See, I'm the opposite. I've only started a fire with my dance moves.
Yeah.
You like that, Adam?
That was awesome.
I'm
well
just
done.
curious because we're
Tony.
drum. Anyone that hasn't seen it, what fell? Are you trying to make deer antler fishing rods back there, or something fell?
I think it was a jig, but I don't really know because everything's pretty secure. So I don't know.
You get everything tied down with paracord now, 550.
I better. Either that or I'm going to switch those jigs to paracord jigs.
There you go.
I know I'm definitely going to try this.
And
Well,
it's
no,
so cheap,
realistically, it's a
Yeah.
San Juan. And if everyone knows a San Juan worm catches fish like nothing. No other fly, right? Like it's,
Apparently, I wouldn't know that.
well, apparently not.
And that's the nice thing too, is you can create it as long as short. You can add different colors, and paracord's cheap, man. Like you can get a bunch of paracord from Walmart for $2, right? And then just throw it in your kit. You're good to go.
Yeah. Mitchell's got some more awesome questions. He's saying the first things is survival. He's saying shelter, food, and heat / cooking. Anything else?
Food, water, fire, shelter. Those are your core 4 priorities when it comes to a survival situation. Food, water, fire, shelter.
And darts.
And smoking darts. Smoking darts and breaking hearts. The Todd Boyd's memoir.
I think we've determined this.
Yeah.
Family show. And Mitch has got another question on there. What's the one thing you should have in Western Canada if you get lost?
A knife.
Blade for sure. Yeah, I will take a blade.
Overrated.
Todd, you're like a cell phone. A cell phone, so I can play Angry Birds.
I better be
he's
careful
a fruit
what I
ninja
say.
guy. He's a fruit ninja guy.
I have to be careful what I say because every trip this year has been like, are we going to be in cell service? Because then I can go.
For me, yeah, I definitely recommend a blade that you're comfortable with. So one of my blades that I carry all the time is just a Mora Companion. It is big enough that I'm able to baton wood and fell small trees, but it's also small enough that I'm able to process game with and any small intricate things that I need to do. If I'm, say, whittling traps and snares, if I am whittling out a spoon or a birch bark, or I have to peel off, inner bark for cordage, something along those lines. But I've carried big machetes, I've carried hatchets. But yeah, I would definitely agree with Adam on that one. Go with the blade for sure.
All right, very cool. All right, well, we got 10 minutes left. Now, Christopher doesn't know about this. Adam doesn't know about this, and I don't know if he's on there. Last week, we had a little conversation. Adam, someone wants to call you out.
Oh, great. Not a surprise.
Never been there before, right?
No, never been called out ever.
I got a phone call from a little someone you may or may not know. His name's Greg Rice.
Oh, I love Craig.
And Greg is of the mind that he actually thinks he can outfish you for sturgeon. What's your thought on that?
That wouldn't. Okay, I said this last week, and I'll stick by it. I think that Greg can outfish me size-wise, like on a regular basis. Numbers-wise, I'm not sure. Anyone who goes fishing sturgeon with me knows, like, I don't know. It works out pretty well when I try.
I've been fortunate enough to be on your team in competition when you catch big sturgeon.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it's going to have to be a conversation we have with Greg, because I don't think he's on here, and I didn't reach out to him today. But Mitchell and I have been talking about the potential of On the Other Line Canada having a contest for charity. No clue how it's going to work out. In my mind, I have like a Royal Rumble kind of
Like a
WW.
Robin?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Just big four.
it's a family
bracket.
show. One sec. I won't say anything.
Ultimate Warrior right here, man. Mitch is saying North versus South. Okay. I mean, I think this contest could be a good opportunity for someone to call their buddy out on kind of what they think about who can do it best.
Oh, anyone out. Yeah, species.
Yeah.
One day.
One day, just like
12
that.
to 12. 12 to 12.
And you could run 3 categories, right? Like size, quantity, length, whatever you guys gotta want to do, right?
Yeah. I think.
And then that way, through the 3 categories can cancel out. One guy's going to win 2, right?
Yeah.
So it would be the equivalent of either friends on or friends off. We could see some relationships end over this. I don't know how it's going to work. I see Kit's in.
Biggest, smallest, most.
What about skunks?
Okay, that happens to you. Like, you're talking about real fishermen fishing.
Okay. Now, I encourage everyone to reach out to me after the show in the next month or so, or if you see me at Cold Lake this weekend. I want your input, and this is what we're thinking, and this is just an idea. And like many things, my ideas don't typically come out as well as the thought process in my head. My thought is we have a spin wheel with all the species in Alberta, with exception of maybe golden trout. I mean, I know a few guys that can do it.
Are you scared of a mountain?
I'm not competing, man. I'm like the Pat Sajak of the show here, okay?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool for people who ran competitions to win.
Greg Rice is here. Okay, quiet. We're talking strategy. He said his internet's not that great. He's probably out at the shack. So here's the idea I have, okay? We get 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 competitors. We random draw for that person to compete against one other person. We spin the wheel live for the species they're going to target, and we give them a week. But do we do it for the largest fish or the most?
I think spinning the wheel for the species is going to make it tough because that forces people to travel. I think you should spin the wheel of a name, of like names of people who want to challenge someone. You spin the wheel, you get their name. They have a species and a person picked out in mind already that they've sent you. And then, I don't know, like, do you do a week? Do you do it a day?
Do you have all their names on the wheel? You spin one, like the old spin the bottles, so it could come up as Chris, and then spin it again. It could be up against Todd.
I'm going old school against technology. I will handwrite everybody's name and put it in a hat. I won't take off the hat because you don't want to see what's underneath. We draw 2 names. Between those 2 people, they decide on a species mutually, or we get all the fans of On the Other Line Canada to vote what species those 2 competitors are going to go for. I mean, I'm open. Anyone that has any input on it. We see contests on pages all the time, but why not make this like I wouldn't call it a friends off competition, but Adam, you and I have competed. We both know what it's like when it comes to friends on or friends off. I think we have potential.
How fun am I during contests?
Well, you're about as fun as I am hungry, okay? So
Do you run a bracket? So do you draw names, and then the winner of that moves on to the next one to like phase until you pick a winner?
exactly that.
Yeah.
I was thinking like it's the equivalent of March Madness,
Yeah.
right?
The only problem is I think people are going to want to compete for only certain species. So you kind of have to narrow down that, I feel.
The
For
joys
the competitor, you know what I mean?
the
Pick the big
joys of
three.
being a multi-angler, a multi-species angler.
Yeah.
For anyone that hasn't competed, I know for myself, like it pushes you to find. Obviously, I'm not going to say, and this came up a few weeks ago. Stone cats, right? There's only.
Why?
I mean, yeah.
Come on.
There's
Let's
one
go
guy
fish
on here
pearl
that can do.
days. Who wants to pearl dace me?
So I don't know. Maybe Christopher, I'm gonna have to challenge you because I mean you can start a fire, but I feel like I could outfish you, bro.
But I think you could
not for
almost have
whitefish.
I think you could almost have competitions like you don't even have to have it just fishing. Who can be naked and afraid for the longest or without getting arrested in Calgary?
Just go to New Horizon Mall. Nobody goes there. You just set up shop. You're good. Bass
Do you know what? I think that's a good competition for the network, not to be named on this show, but I think we've got some potential.
No,
Darren's
I would
actually
definitely
agreeing I'm
appreciate
not
it.
very good at fishing, so
Fishing contests are I'm always into that. I quite enjoy them. They keep me going. So anyone wants to challenge me for any species, hit me up, hit Todd up.
Actually, speaking of contests, I'm actually running a couple on my Beeline Outdoors page, and I'm actually doing a giveaway on Thursday. I've been doing a paracord series for different skills through paracord that you guys could do. But I'm actually doing a giveaway, a grand prize on Thursday during my live, where I'm giving away a hand-forged custom mini knife from one of my friends who is actually on the show, as well as all the paracords as well. So if you guys want to head over to Beeline Outdoors, any of my lives that are titled Paracord Projects, if you like those, you're entered into the draw. So
that's awesome.
Be
Let's
sure to
get
head
that
over there,
shared
too.
to everybody so they can check that out because Thursday comes quick.
Thursday at 7 o'clock, I go live every single week in there teaching different skills.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we're wrapping up the show. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of people in the upcoming weeks. We're actually booked till June. Go figure. Next week we've got Chris Halliday coming on. We like to dip a little bit into the people in Saskatchewan and some of the things they're fishing for, and I think it's going to be a really good opportunity to change it up. With that being said and changing things up, Mitchell and I are working on doing a special live broadcast this week, so keep your eyes open and your ears peeled. We're not sure what day it's going to be, but we'll be at the Cold Lake tournament where I intend on breaking this skunk. Adam, you're coming, right? What if I don't?
I'll tell you what to use right here, right now. Green tube, green flash on it. Please use that.
Pink tube,
What
red
happened?
marabou.
Frozen.
Red paracord and
Go figure. Adam freezes out as we're wrapping up the show. Adam, we'll talk. And the look on your face right now says it all. This is the look people make when they say Todd's going to end the skunk this weekend. Right? Adam, comment. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us this week on the Other Line Canada. Christopher James, Beeline Outdoors. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you joining us.
Anytime.
Let's get those pages and contests shared. We'll get those out this evening. And yeah, I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking about some stuff. I think I got some paracord out in the garage, so I might have to go check some stuff out here.
If not, buddy, let me know and I'll hook you up.
Sounds awesome. All right, everyone, enjoy your week, and we'll see you at some point this weekend. Christopher James, let's get out soon, brother.
Let's do it, man.
Everybody have a great week, and yeah, we'll see you next week on our next episode of On the Other Line Canada. Check us out, Facebook or YouTube. And what's ending a show without a little outro video?
Stay wild, y'all.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.